Live from the Metrodome, another Fall Classic Rosen Sports Sunday. Brought to you by Champion Auto Stores. Shop the Fall Dollar Day sale now at participating Champion Auto Stores.
As Game 2 of the World Series approached, Atlanta had one thought in mind: win tonight and then give the ball to phenom Steve Avery back in Atlanta on Tuesday.
Well, I think it might be more important for Minnesota to win, because if the Twins don't win, you're talking about Avery and Smoltz, their two best pitchers in Atlanta. So I almost think it's more important for Minnesota to win tonight than Atlanta.
But first things first, tonight on Sports Sunday, all the sights and sounds of Game 2, the series. Talk about hardball. Following the bouncing ball in New England today gave the Minnesota Vikings a major league setback. For the win. Yes! That heartbreaking story coming up later on Rosen Sports Sunday.
Well, the Braves were the Twins. Well, you know, the Braves, I'd watch out for that Warren Spahn.
And good evening, and welcome back to the Metrodome, where the Minnesota Twins have once again got a jump start on their opposition in the postseason. They did it in 1987 against the Detroit Tigers in the American League Championship Series, against the St. Louis Cardinals in the World Series. They did it against Toronto here this year in the American League Championship Series, and have now taken a 2-game-to-none lead over the Atlanta Braves in a most dramatic fashion, winning in the bottom of the 8th inning on Scott Leyas's game-winning home run. The same Scott Leyas who came to spring training in Fort Myers, not sure if he would even get a job with the Minnesota Twins. There was quite a fight for that third base spot. Who was going to replace Gary Gaetti? They brought in free agent Mike Pagliarulo. He made the team from the left side. They were still looking for some help from the right side, and as it turned out, it was Scott Leyas. And no one could tell better than Scott what it felt like tonight to round the bases. I don't know if his feet touched the ground, but this is what Scotty had to say after the game.
Another one? Chili Davis is here too. We'll let him come up and share the stage. No, you have to stay. He's on his way up, and we'll just let him come up here when he gets here. Another question for either Tom or Scott?
No, I didn't know what to do when Puck said, they want you better go out there. So I was just kind of trying to calm down a little bit, so I had an inning to play defense.
Well, Scotty was talking about taking his curtain call after the game, and he's always rather reserved after games, no matter if win or lose. He's always thinking about the next play, the next at-bat, or the next game. But right now, Scott Leyas gets to think about, at least for the next day and a half, of what it felt like to win a game for the Minnesota Twins in the World Series. Well, Scott may have been a little reserved in his comments after the game, but his teammates were certainly happy for him.
Scotty goes up there, and I don't think anybody was surprised on the bench. We're excited about it, heck yeah, but and nobody's surprised here with that, the way we play this game.
We knew it had a chance, you know. We all jumped out of the dugout. We knew it had a really good chance to go out, and he hit it good. So it kind of reminded me of the one he hit against Seattle to win the game.
The fan caught it, and a couple seconds later the phone rang, and pretty sure Rob was getting the call. So, but you know, the bullpen jumped up and just pumped us all up. It was just a very clutch hit for Scotty. I can't say enough. It was outstanding.
Of course, that guy was rather outstanding himself in the 9th inning, striking out the side, Rick Aguilera. Scott Leyas hit only 5 home runs during the regular season. Chuck Knobloch made reference to the one he hit against Seattle, most dramatic fashion to win a game against the Mariners here in the middle of the summer. Well, right now, we'd like to invite Terry Steinbach of the Oakland A's to join us from our studio. And, Terry, I don't know if your heart missed a beat or two. You've been through this many, many times, but Scott Leyas, players like Scott Leyas aren't supposed to win World Series games, but it seems like every year, Terry, there's someone that maybe doesn't get the recognition during the regular season who comes up big in the World Series.
I think exactly right, Mark. You know, I think that's what you have to give credit to the Minnesota Twins. That's what they've been doing during the playoffs and the series. Key players are coming through doing real big things for them.
We always talk about big things that happen in the game, and certainly there was one source of controversy. And from your angle, we're going to take us back to the 3rd inning. This was the play where Ron Gant got the single to left field. The ball was relayed over to Kent Herbeck eventually. And you tell us from your vantage point, did the umpire make the right call here?
You know, I've seen this play many, many times right now, and I definitely agree with what the umpire called. If you notice on the replay that comes from the second base angle, Ron Gant's right thigh makes pretty hard contact with Kent Herbeck, this angle right here, and it actually pushes Kent Herbeck off the base, right at this point right there.
So the key issue here, Terry, is whether or not he, meaning Gant, had control of the bag.
Right. In my opinion right here, Gant's momentum is what came off the base and what caused Herbeck to come off the base with him.
Well, Gant just about got himself tossed out of the game, but as it turned out, he remained calm enough to stay in there. Let's get back now to the game-winning home run, because Scott Leyes hit the first pitch. What's the book on Scott Leyes? And Glavine was mowing him down for the Minnesota Twins. What mistake did Glavine make if he did make one on that pitch?
Well, the book on Scott Leyes, he's a very, very good fastball hitter, and you got to try to get him with the off-speed pitches. The thing that Glavine should have been concentrating on right here is if you're going to get beat, you want to get beat to the opposite way. That pitch right there had too much of the plate, giving Scott Leyes the ability to go ahead and pull the ball. You know, it was the ninth inning or the eighth inning, and you should never get beat on to the strong side of the field.
That was the first pitch, and you're right. You make a really good point there. That Leyes managed to get to pull the ball, and Glavine, who was outstanding from the first inning on after Chili Davis hit that home run, gave it up, much to his surprise. Let's also talk about the Twins starting pitcher, Kevin Tapani, who really showed, I think, a lot of heart tonight in a very, very tough spot. Also in the top of the eighth inning, the Braves with a great opportunity. First and third, only one out, and had to face Ron Gant and then Dave Justice. He got out of this jam, and let's talk about this, Terry.
This is a very, very tough situation for Kevin right here. You got to face a great hitter in Ron Gant. He, got the first out, which here, was the second out, which was a big out. Now the guy from third didn't score. Right here, Justice did a good piece of hitting right there. I believe that was an off-speed pitch. He went the other way with it, but with the luck of the Twins right there, it went right to Glavine.
How did Tapani impress you tonight?
I was very impressed with him. In his first World Series exposure here, he kept his exposure very, very, very well. He did just a great job out there.
Terry, we're going to check back with you later. Still a lot more to talk about as the Atlanta Braves go home. I'm sure still full of confidence given the fact they've rallied all year against the Dodgers and managed to also rally against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So this series is far from over. Put away those brooms for a while yet. Terry, we'll check with you a bit later. Well, meanwhile, Twins pitcher Kevin Tapani wasn't one of those big bonus babies coming out of high school. In fact, Tapani had no serious plans to play college baseball. His greatest success had come in another sport. Scott Reynolds takes us back 10 years in the life of Kevin Tapani.
And again, Kevin Tapani has just...
In the Pontiac Silverdome, the Michigan Big Schools Football Championship, and a diminutive quarterback came through for the Escanaba Eskimos.
Now 2nd and 10 from the 12 as Kevin Tapani again goes back. He's looking, fires over the middle. It's complete to out the belly. Touchdown! Kevin Tapani to beat out the belly.
He's a tough kid, not physically, but mentally and emotionally. He was tough, and he would be able to persevere when things got tough.
Tapani's high school didn't even have a baseball team, but he did play Legion ball here, and he got to play in a very prestigious summer league.
Yeah, John Hiller, the ex-Tiger, was playing up there, and the Bird would come up for some, they'd have like a tournament. Fidrich would come up for Bill Freehand, a few other Tiger guys like that. It was, I don't know, it was kind of like Sandlot baseball. You get some guys together on a Sunday and play a couple of games, and that's about it.
Tapani had great control as a youngster. He even pitched a perfect game at the age of 15.
He's just a skinny little kid, really. Remember when I found out he was going to be the quarterback of the team that eventually won the state championship, I said, that skinny little kid being quarterback? Because he was skinny. But he could always throw well. He had a nice, fluid delivery. He always threw with control. The Kevin Tapani you see pitching with the Twins right now, the same Kevin Tapani we saw in Escanaba 10, 12 years ago.
Tapani left his hometown of Escanaba to go to Central Michigan in Mount Pleasant, and luckily got discovered.
I didn't know anything about college baseball or anything like that. It was hockey or football in the area I was from, so I got down there and did orientation. I was supposed to see a counselor, and I heard there was a Dodger tryout at the baseball field, so I went over there, and turned out the coach from Central was over there. They recommended I be a third baseman. I hit the ball pretty good that day, and, wound up walking onto the team and made it that fall.
And now he's made it in the big leagues. He's still a skinny little fella. The only thing that's really changed is his haircut. Scott Reynolds, WCCO Television Sports.
Not too bad there, Kevin. He was not a bad hockey player either. Not a bad baseball trade. 87, Frank Viola helps the Minnesota Twins win the World Series. They trade Viola a year later. Get Kevin Tapani, David West, and Rick Aguilera, who've been the three big stars in the mound. Not bad start, though, with those three. Well, what's all this talk about the tomahawk chop and the Homer hanky? Well, we asked Tim Russell, WCCO Radio, a.k.a. President George Bush, to have his little insight into what's going on with all these fans in Atlanta and Minnesota.
I got to tell you, Barr and I have talked it over. We're for the Minnesota Twins mainly because of that obnoxious tomahawk chop. I tell you what, if I were running the Dome, I'd say, lose the rubber hatchet. I'd look Ted Turner in the eye. If I were Carl Pohlad, and I'd say, Ted, read my lips, no Nerf axes. But that Homer hanky, that's good. It's good. Fluttering there in the Metrodome like 50,000 points of white. And any time a Republican sees somebody waving a white flag in democratic Minnesota, we're all for it.
And we'll return with more of Rosen Sports Sunday live from the Metrodome, so stay with us.
Tune into great savings at Champion Auto Stores right now during our Fall Dollar Days sale. Stereo headphones are only $5. A 4-pack of light bulbs is only $1. Oil filters, 2 for $3. Plus, you can save on whatever you need to get your car or truck ready for the colder months ahead. And as always, our Car Care Seminar videotapes can help you do it the right way and the easy way. It's all happening now at Champion Auto Stores during our Fall Dollar Days sale. Stop in and save.
Boy, it was nuts. Absolute chaos. Every day was a different surprise. I can't afford surprises. I have to find something to help me keep this place under control. That's exactly why we got this Honeywell control system. We're more efficient now, conserving raw materials, turning out a better product. Sure, we can survive without it, but who just wants to survive?
When people depend on you, depend on Honeywell. If it's cold filtered for smoothness and purity, if it's pure cold, and if it's got the name, it's a good thing. Smooth Michelob Golden Draft, an easy-going Golden Draft Light. So grab a good thing, Michelob Golden Draft. Grab a good thing when you see it.
Here's a chance to remember the Minnesota Twins' 1991 championship season by collecting the Playmakers. The Playmakers are 14 special edition commemorative cards designed by Minnesota illustrator Mark Herman. These cards are a limited edition collector series and will be available for $2 each at all TCF locations, including TCF at Cub Foods. So don't be left out of the Twins championship season. Pick up your limited edition sports prints today.
And welcome back to the Metrodome, where the Minnesota Twins have taken a 2-game-to-none lead in the World Series, going back to Atlanta for Game 3 on Tuesday night. Well, how would you like to throw a 4-hitter and lose? Tom Glavine experienced that tonight with the Atlanta Braves, giving up a 2-run home run to Chili Davis, retiring 15 straight before Brian Harper got a base hit, and then Scott Leyes winning it in the bottom of the 8th inning with that home run. And after the game, a very frustrated Tom Glavine and Greg Olson described the game.
You know, I'm sure I'm going to have to look at a stat somewhere saying that, you know, I'm 0-3 in the playoffs. You know, that I can't, I'm sure somewhere along the line somebody's going to say I can't win the big game, but I mean, how much more can I do? You know, I went out and did it the best I could, and I gave us a chance to win, and just other things didn't happen along with it.
You know, you can think of it as a frustrating situation, but actually, I'm thinking like, you know, that's great. Tommy came out and did what he had to do, shut him down, and to me, that's what he did. He came out and shut him down. We just didn't score enough runs for him.
But the Braves are going back home, and they're going to give the ball to Steve Avery, who at the age of 21 has a lot of people talking about what he's already experienced and done at his tender young age. Now, Avery shut down the Pittsburgh Pirates when it counted the most in the cold at Pittsburgh. Now he's going back home where he will receive quite a reception. Now, Jim Cott told us before the game that he thought this game was even more important in Minnesota because of that. We had a chance to talk with Jim Cott about young 21-year-old Steve Avery.
Well, I think, first of all, you look at his pitching mechanics, and if you look at a pitcher's motion, when a pitcher squares his shoulders up to throw to home, he makes it a little bit of an extra turn. So I think that's what gives him an extra special fastball. His mechanics are perfect. I mean, you can't tell if he's throwing a fastball, curve, or change. It's so smooth, and I'm sure that's why it's difficult for a hitter to detect that. And then he's got poise that you can't believe. When you talk to this young man, you're saying this kid is not 21. He's lying about his age, and he carries that maturity over the foul lines. That's what makes him impressive.
Jim Cott describing Steve Avery as we go back to Terry Steinbach. Terry, you've only had a chance to watch him on television. What have been your impressions? And you echo what Jim Cott is saying about young Avery.
Yes, I agree with what Jim said, exclusively. He keeps his composure very, very well out there. He has extremely good fastball, and he gets the breaking ball over when he has to.
Terry, we've been taking a lot of phone calls from a lot of fans throughout the Twin Cities and Wisconsin and elsewhere tonight about tonight's game, and we have a few of the comments right now we're going to play for you and some of the questions, and we're going to go to those calls right now.
Why don't you guys put in Caliarillo instead of Scott Reyes? Thank you.
Well, I think it's a situation right there, Mark, where they're Tom Kelly's going with the percentages there. He's playing the right-handed hitter facing the left-handed pitcher, putting in the left-handed hitter facing the right-handed pitcher. And so far, what TK has done has worked out extremely well.
Makes him look like a genius, doesn't it? I mean, he puts Pags in as a pinch hitter where he had a couple other guys to go to. In Toronto, Palirulo hits a home run to win the game in Toronto. Scott Reyes is in there tonight. Didn't have the greatest fielding night, at least at the outset, struggling at the plate a little bit, hits a game-winning home run. So that platooning makes a lot of sense when it all works out for us. We have another phone call for us.
My question is, how does the voting for the Rookie of the Year happen? Like, what's the procedure?
The voting for the Rookie of the Year, what they have is they have 2 reporters in every major league city. And what those writers do is they watch all the games, and their vote is what determines who the Rookie of the Year is going to be.
Well, there's a good question. Chuck Knobloch or Guzman of Toronto? Who deserves it, Terry?
Well, I got to go with Chuck Knobloch all the way. Guzman's sitting home right now. Chuck Knobloch, I mean, he's out there, and for a rookie, he's having a fantastic playoff, and he continued that play right into the World Series.
Terry, before we let you go, one more quick question about Atlanta. How do you expect this team to perform when they get back home in front of their home fans?
Well, you got to like that home field advantage, and, they're going out with their #1 pitcher, so I think if Atlanta's going to win a game, if they're going to get back in it, it's got to be game number 3. If Minnesota wins game 3, I pretty much think it's over for Atlanta.
Terry, thanks much for your insights. We appreciate it, and we'll look forward to talking with you as the series progresses.
Thank you, Mark.
Terry Steinbach of the Oakland Athletics. And right now he's talking about what's going on in Atlanta. What in the world is going on in Atlanta? They're used to this being behind the 8 ball, but Esme Murphy is standing by, as she has all night long, to tell us what's happening there. Esme?
Well, Mark, obviously fans here are disappointed, but they hardly feel their Braves are out of it. In fact, they feel that they're sitting pretty well right now because they're going to be coming back here to Atlanta in front of the hometown fans. Their best pitcher, Steve Avery, will be on the mound. The feeling here is that this is a miracle team. They can come back from any deficit. In fact, this is the best-selling T-shirt in Atlanta right now. It says the comeback kids. It's a headline from the Atlanta newspaper when the Braves finally clinched against Pittsburgh. I'm sure they're going to be selling a lot more of these tomorrow. As I said, the feeling here is that this team can come back from any deficit, that they can work miracles, and that some of those miracles are going to be worked here in Atlanta against the Minnesota Twins. Braves fans are even claiming divine support. Some are ripping the Homer Hankman. Others even claim the hanky is a chop off the old tomahawk.
I think it's terrible. I think they took over our tomahawk chop.
You think that the Twins fans are copying the Braves fans?
Yes, I think that the Twins are copying the Braves fans.
But the Twins had these first.
Oh, they did? Really?
Well, one reality in Atlanta is that Minnesota has a frigid reputation. When you think of Minnesota, what do you think of?
I think of cold weather.
Anything else?
No?
They're up north and cold.
That's what you know about Minnesota?
That's what I know about it so far. And I know they're not going to win the World Series. Okay? That's about all I can tell you.
The prediction here is that warm weather and warm fans will really heat up the Braves.
The guys have been on the road now for, what, over a week, and this will be a relief once they get home.
There's some chocolate down here. People are crazy down here. It's definitely crazy for the Braves right now. You can't go anywhere without seeing the tomahawk cakes and tomahawk hats and everything. So
Braves fever is everywhere. Outside Atlanta's Coca-Cola Museum. Yes, that's right, a whole museum devoted to the real thing. The in thing is a robot doing, you guessed it. You hear that chant, you can't miss it, and I'm sure it's going to be building up through Tuesday's game, especially when Steve Avery hits the mound. One thing about Steve Avery, I think he could probably run for mayor of Atlanta. He's that popular down here. And one final note from Atlanta, Mark. When we first got here on Friday, we heard several Atlanta sportscasters refer to Kevin Tapani as Kevin Tapani. Well, I think tonight they probably figured out how to pronounce his name.
And a lot of other people around the country as well, Esme. Look forward to seeing you down there tomorrow. Esme Murphy reporting from Atlanta. And listen, it's the Braves have never been in the World Series, at least from the city of Atlanta. Why not enjoy all of it? Because it's going to be returned there on Tuesday night. We're going to come back and talk football with the Minnesota Vikings back in our studios, and also with Sid Hartman. We'll be right back with more of Rosen Sports Sunday.
A good laugh, a good chill, a good sign, a good thrill, a good boy, good girl, it's a good time. Well, you got the goods. You know a good thing when you see it. Only one draft beer. To grab a good thing, Michelob Golden Draft delivers the goods. Michelob Golden Draft. So grab the pure cold. Good thing. Cold filtered. Good thing. Smooth. Michelob Golden Draft. So grab a good thing.
This is the heartland. No boundaries, no limits, no end to what you can do. Since 1926, we've been the bank for families in the heartland. And there's no doubt we can help you. Metropolitan Federal, the Heartland's bank.
It is to radio what the Oscar is to movies. It is the Marconi Award. And this year, the National Association of Broadcasters has chosen to present this prestigious award to a local radio station for being the best in America. You know this station for its excellent programming, personalities, and public service.
Next week, the Vikings fly to Phoenix and deal with the Cards.
And welcome back to the Metrodome, where the Vikings were in Atlanta in the month of September, where they defeated the Falcons on the road. A lot of people, of course, were talking about the Braves at that time. The Vikings were in New England this weekend, where at least last night before all their meetings, they had a chance to maybe catch a few innings of the Twins game as they were rooted on their favorite baseball team from their hotel rooms in Boston. There's Darren Nelson and Terry Allen, roommates. And Darren, of course, thinks he's good at every sport. And you know what? He is. He's a pretty good baseball player, basketball player. He does it all. The Twins had a lot of support in the New England area last night from the Minnesota Vikings. They watched the Twins win Game 1. But what happened today in New England? Ouch. Right now, I'm going to go back to R.J. Fritz in our studio along with Hank Thomas to talk football. R.J.?
Okay, Mark, and for those who have not heard, it was 26-23 New England today, and this guy also played a lot of baseball. Maybe, Henry, we should talk baseball tonight. What do you think? You played first, third, outfield in high school,
right?
But couldn't make the majors because you couldn't hit the curveball.
No,
Is that right?
I was kind of scared, you know. If the ball come at my head, I'm out of there.
Well, we have to ask you what happened, Hank Thomas. You as devastated as the fans are after this loss to New England, of all people?
Yes, definitely. I think the guys in the second half and overtime really played hard, and they fought to get back into the ball game and try to win it. But to lose to New England when we had the ball rolling, we're feeling like we're going to go in and win our next 8 in a row, you know, and try to turn the season around, and then to lose this one in the manner that we did, it's kind of tough.
Well, you know, you mentioned the second half, how well you played, but the first half, you could almost tell by the body language of the Vikings. There doesn't seem to be any fire. Is there a reason?
Well, getting to the
footing and getting used to the field and not sure of your assignments right away, it tends to do that to a team.
You trailed 23-13 in the fourth, and boy, I tell you, you did make it exciting. We're going to take a look at a few of those highlights one more time here. First onside kick failed, but the second one came through.
Yeah, definitely. The guys came through and got the ball. We got 2 opportunities at it, and they just kept hustling and kept fighting in there, and we got the ball back and gave us the opportunity to tie the ball game up.
All right, you're trailing by 3. You get the field goal by Fuad Revez, and you have to be feeling pretty good at this time. You've dodged several bullets during the day.
Definitely. Our defense came out and stopped them, and then we turned it around, and we got the field goal to tie the ball game.
Now you're coming right back down to get in field goal position to win it. Steve Jordan with the catch, the fumble. Steve usually sure-handed Jordan.
Right, he was definitely trying to make things happen for our offense, get the ball as close as possible.
And then New England comes back. Hugh Millen hit McMurtry, one of numerous key plays, and then Starowski with the game winner.
5 seconds left. Just really took everything out. Guys are still in there battling, but he made the kick.
Well, are you agonizing as much now looking at the videotape as you were after the game?
Yeah, definitely. This kind of agony is probably going to last until Wednesday when we start over and get
or forever. Well, Henry, this game really was an emotional roller coaster for players and fans alike. And after the game, the locker room was pretty quiet, of course. The Vikings tried to come to grips with that heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, it was one of those knockdown, drag-out fights that goes the whole 15 and somebody wins at the end. Unfortunately, they did.
It's kind of a roller coaster ride, which is always difficult. It's tough to swallow, but you know that's it's part of the NFL and something that it's not anything that you want to get used to, but it's something you have to learn to deal with.
I don't think you ever get used to losing. I hope we don't get used to it, and that was a big one. We needed that win, and especially after we got it into overtime, we worked pretty darn hard to get it there, and we had a chance, and we let it slip away. So we fought, but unfortunately, we came up short, and I probably have to shoulder. In fact, I know I do have to shoulder a lot of that myself. We have to get it together, though, and we have to win next week. This is a crucial game for us. We let it slip away, but we just have to, make some adjustments, and next week we'll be right back at them.
All right, and Henry, I suppose now that you did lose at New England on the road, you're going to hear it from all us media types all week long. Why can't you win on the road? Why can't you win on grass?
Oh, definitely. We're going to definitely hear that, and it's something we're going to have to just put behind us and go on and continue to get ready for Phoenix. Now we're definitely in a must-win situation, and we're going to have to fight to maintain.
Lost in all of this is a pretty doggone good game by number 97 today. You had 3 sacks. Still kind of come up feeling a little empty, do you?
Yeah, I'd trade a good day in for a victory anytime. Here, just Chris and I ran a nice little game, and he set it up for me to come around the inside and get the sack.
There's turf all over the place. Did they let the grass grow a little long here to slow you people down?
Yeah, the grass was a little long, and it was soft. It's not rooted yet, so it was hard to get your footing. And we just kept battling, and it was just real sandy.
All right, we'll say it again. 26-23 was the final for New England. We'll get them next week, and once again, I guess it was kind of agonizing to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry to have to put you through that. We're sorry that we put ourselves through it.
Definitely, and we're going to keep fighting. Like I said before, it's not a team that's going to quit, and we're going to keep battling. We're going to do our best to turn the season around.
All right, thank you very much, Henry Thomas of the Minnesota Vikings, and we'll be returning with more on Rosen Sports Sunday from the Metrodome right after these words. Stay with us.
Tune in to great savings at Champion Auto Stores right now during our Fall Dollar Days sale. Stereo headphones are only $5. A 4-pack of light bulbs is only $1. Oil filters, 2 for $3. Plus, you can save on whatever you need to get your car or truck ready for the colder months ahead. And as always, our Car Care Seminar videotapes can help you do it the right way and the easy way. It's all happening now at Champion Auto Stores during our Fall Dollar Days sale. Stop in and save.
Tonight's Champion Auto Stores play of the game is from that fateful overtime. Steve Jordan getting a big first down in field goal territory, only to fumble the ball. New England recovered, came back to get the win, and the Vikes go home literally empty-handed.
a deal this kind only lasts so long. Better run from the border when you hear that horn.
Tune in to great savings at Champion Auto Stores right now during our Fall Dollar Days sale. Stereo headphones are only $5. A 4-pack of light bulbs is only $1. Oil filters, 2 for $3. Plus, you can save on whatever you need to get your car or truck ready for the colder months ahead. And as always, our Car Care Seminar videotapes can help you do it the right way and the easy way. It's all happening now at Champion Auto Stores during our Fall Dollar Days sale. Stop in and save.
You got the good. A good shape, a good save.
You got the good.
A good bake, a good way.
You got the good.
You know a good thing when you see it.
Only one right there. You got the good.
Michelob Golden Draft Light
delivers the goods.
Michelob Golden Draft Light.
So grab the pure cold.
Good thing.
Cold filtered.
Good thing.
Easy going.
Michelob Golden Draft Light.
So grab a good thing.
Your Dodge dealer has a special factory shipment of Dakota 4x4 club cabs in stock now. With our powerful new Magnum V8, these trucks have more power, more towing, and more payload than any Ford, Chevy, or import compact 4x4 club cab. But hurry. With $750 cash back, our selection of Dakota club cabs won't last long. See your neighborhood Dodge dealer today. Rediscover American value.
And welcome back to the Metrodome. And now for the final word on the Minnesota Twins' victory tonight, let's turn to Sid Hartman. And Sid, was this Greg Gagne, the hero, one night, Scott Laius the next? Does that basically tell you the story of the Minnesota Twins all season?
Yeah, Terry Crowley, the batting coach, was talking just about that, Mark. He was saying that he's never been with a club where every night somebody else picks him up. And Chili Davis had hit only 19 home runs at the first half of the season, only 10 at the second half. And then he gets a home run, and Laius, who expects him? But he had 368 at the Metrodome here and 212 on the road, so he's been a good hitter at home.
In '87, the Twins won the first 2 games of the series, went on to St. Louis and lost 3 in a row. Do you think Atlanta is capable of winning 3 straight there?
No, they might win a couple, but I don't think they got any chance to win 3 in a row. The kid pitching Tuesday is a great one. They'll have a hard time beating him.
Your lead item in your column tomorrow?
Lead item in my column tomorrow concerns Chili Davis.
Geez, thanks for the scoop. Is Jerry Burns going to stick around?
I don't know. If I were Jerry Burns, I don't know. I'd be so unhappy today. The 2 games they lost this year, the one to Detroit and the one today, there's just no excuse for what's happening. I mean, you can't blame the coaches. Players ought to be able to handle that situation.
Have a nice ride to Atlanta tonight.
Same deal.
Sid Hartman, the final word. The Metrodome, the Twins win, take a 2-0 lead. We'll be with you from Atlanta Tuesday night with a pregame show at 6:30, leading up to Game 3 of the World Series. For our entire crew here at WCCO Television, good night from the Metrodome.
Rosen Sports Sunday has been brought to you by Champion Auto Stores. Shop the Fall Dollar Days sale now at participating Champion Auto Stores.